Hello and welcome to News at 7 on NTA International. I am Lami Ali and Bamidele John is our sign language interpreter. Here are our headlines. Police Minister hands over operational assets to Nigerian police force for efficient service delivery. United Nations adopts Nigeria's evaluation model for sustainable development goals. Also on the news, African health ministers endorse new strategy to boost access to care of severe non-communicable diseases in the region. The biodata profile on the state of literacy and illiteracy in Nigeria will be integrated in the National Population Commission data collection instruments to inform planning for national development. This was an agreement reached at a meeting between leadership of the NPC and the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adults and Non-Formal Education in Abuja. Oluseyi Diabo has the details. Well, that report will come to you in subsequent bulletin. We move on to the next report. Poor working environment and remuneration are responsible for brain drain in the country. This was the position of the Nigerian Medical Association while briefing newsmen on the state of healthcare services in the country. While observing that the number of medical doctors in the health facilities across the country are far below the required number, the doctor stressed the urgent need to make Nigerian environment conducive for practice in order to stop brain drain. They advocated training and retraining of medical personnel in Nigeria as key in order to meet the current trend of disease outbreak across the country. The association condemned the assault on medical personnel in facilities across the nation.
If you look at the doctor-patient ratio, we are far away from the recommendations of the WHO. That if we continue so, it will be difficult for the dwindling number of doctors in the MDCN registry to match the expanding population, which presently is hitting 220 million.
The World Health Organization pushes for 70% vaccine coverage for the whole population, and African regional health ministers and representatives adopt a package of essential non-communicable disease interventions to address severe non-communicable diseases at first-level referral health facilities. Let's join Adebola Brooklyn for these and more on Global Update.
The World Health Organization said up to 1 million people across the globe have died of COVID-19 in 2022 alone. Director General of the Global Health Agency, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, at a press conference said more efforts need to be made to contain the virus as it is still causing a striking number of fatalities despite the implementation of preventive measures.
We ask all governments to strengthen their efforts to vaccinate all health workers, older people, and others at the highest risk on the way to 70% vaccine coverage for the whole population.
Meanwhile, the regional health ministers and representatives meeting in Lome, Togo, have endorsed several regional policies, activities, and financial plans to improve people's health and well-being on the continent. Nigeria's Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Hanire, was part of the 5-day program, which is the 72nd session of the World Health Organization's Regional Committee for Africa.
Despite insurgency in past years leading to health service disruption, Nigeria developed policies and pathways to improve primary healthcare delivery and pursue universal health coverage. The new National Health Insurance Authority makes health insurance mandatory and expands the fiscal space for health.
And people in Afghanistan are in need of more assistance from the international community to stave off a hunger crisis that has gripped the nation. UN World Food Programme representative in Kabul, Sami Alukazai, said nearly 20 million people in Afghanistan, about half of the country's population, are facing acute hunger. And Latvia have dismantled a 79-meter tall World War II memorial in the capital city, Riga. The monument had become a rallying point for the Kremlin's supporters in Latvia following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And the demolition occurred amid calls from the Baltic states' ethnic Russian minority to leave it standing. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
The United Nations says henceforth it will be guided by Nigeria's new evaluation model in global reporting on the Sustainable Development Goals. United Nations resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Matthias Schmoll, believes the launch of the new independent, comprehensive evaluation report on SDGs 3 and 4 in Abuja is evidence of robust institutional framework. Claire Adelabu Abdurazak reports.
That was the launch of the new evaluation report document that will define the roadmap for sustainable health and quality education for Nigerians of all ages. It is an independent, comprehensive evaluation of the Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 4, which are part of the priority development areas as embedded in the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan ERGP 2017 to 2020. Goal 3 focuses on the health and general well-being of all ages, especially women and children under 5 years. In evaluating progress, the report indicates considerable improvement made in under 5 and infant mortality, while maternal and neonatal mortalities stagnated. In the area of education, the report indicates evidence of efforts to address barriers by governments, improve enrollment and quality. But regardless, it also says poverty, insecurity, and lack of political will remain critical barriers. The report also notes that strategy and implementation gaps persist at multiple levels, while accountability remains a worrying barrier to attaining Goal 4. Participants at the launch believe the report reflects practical realities at the subnational level.
When you go through the report, you know it's exactly the picture of Nigeria.
You have taken note of all the shortfalls, all the areas of discrepancies.
The two reports, as I've already mentioned, point to the importance of significantly increasing public investment in both health and education services.
The report sheds a light on key priority areas to do so, including improving the governance and accountability of the healthcare programs across the country.
The finding of this strategic evaluation support further evidence to improving the right of the child to education in Nigeria and show the government at all levels along the development partner and civil society, which can best address systematic gaps and challenges.
Some of the students give us insight into some of those priority areas in the education sector that would require urgent attention.
If they can add more funds to the school, it will make education better for us.
A school can build smart class for children to use and learn many things. It's not like you can sit on the floor, right on the floor. The government should employ many teachers.
Nigeria is the first country to undertake and deliver independent comprehensive evaluation of Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 4. And the United Nations says it will now become the standard model for global evaluations of the 2030.
Apologies there for that technical hitch at the end of that report. We now go back to our earlier promoted report, which is on the data profile. We told you that the biodata profile on the state of literacy and illiteracy in Nigeria will be integrated in the National Population Commission data collection instruments to inform planning for national development. This was an agreement reached at a meeting between leadership of the NPC and the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adults and Non-Formal Education in Abuja. Olushea Diabo has details.
Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) target 4.6 requires that by 2030, member states should ensure that all youths and a substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. Meeting this target has been the central focus of programs of the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adults and Non-Formal Education (NMEG), and now it seeks synergy with the National Population Commission which is getting set for a population and housing census in the country after 16 years.
The outcome of your population census exercise will redress the illiteracy monster with its attendant debilitating underdevelopment indices.
In the design of the questionnaire, yes, educational attainment, level of educational attainment is clearly put in there. And I'm quite sure you'll be able to capture data that will be useful to you.
That's just the beginning. What's going to come out of it? How you are going to utilize this for the development of our country is what is paramount.
The goal of this meeting is to ensure the 2023 census data provides details on Nigeria's illiteracy status to serve as a catalyst for tackling illiteracy and female marginalization, which is now on the rise. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Now, efforts are still ongoing by the emergency respondents to rescue 2 more trapped persons underneath the rubble of a collapsed building along the Aso Savings Road in Kubwa. Correspondent Odiri Oboru Arutere, who was at the scene, now gives us an update.
Initially, the building was planned to be a plaza. However, the owner converted it to a residential building, housing 20 flats and some lock-up shops. An official of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, who responded shortly after the building collapsed, said the agency immediately alerted other emergency responders and rescue operations began.
We received a distress call at about 11:45 yesterday about the collapsed building, and we arrived here about 5 minutes to 12. On arrival, we activated our stakeholders and we swung into action. We were able to rescue 5 people alive and took them to the hospital. 2 of them are already out of the hospital.
Some of the site workers contracted by the owner of the building were among those rescued from the collapsed building.
As I say I won't go sleep, I don't sleep small. More than 1 hour, I can't see sound. Goo, 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 goo. Before I walk out, I don't see doors, don't close everything.
Me and my second we sleep together for one place. So we came out, we see say one roof don't come out. As the roof don't come out, so we see the light from there. As we see the light, so we just trace the light to go. So meanwhile, that time, people just begin to shout for there.
Other eyewitness accounts say earlier there were voices emanating from underneath the rubble, which indicates that people are still trapped. Meanwhile, as at the time of filing in this report, 1 body has been recovered. In Abuja, Odiri Oboru Arutere, NTA News.
The Buhari Media Organization, BMO, has described the completion of the Murtala Mohammed Airport Terminal 2 as a big boost to the federal government's policy of ease of doing business in the country. The group, in a statement signed by its chairman, Niya Kinshiju, says the terminal, with its state-of-the-art facilities, has the capacity to carry about 14 million passengers every year. This, the media group believes, will increase the attraction of foreign investors to Nigeria, as well as boost tourism. BMO notes that the Terminal 2 project started in 2013 and was completed by the present administration in 2022 under a bilateral agreement with the People's Republic of China. The group therefore applauds the President Muhammadu Buhari administration for its gigantic infrastructural work in the country. Since the construction of the first terminal about 40 years ago, only the Buhari administration has made deliberate efforts to upgrade the country's airports to international standards. You're watching the news on NTA International. Time now for a break. More reports when we return. Do stay tuned.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Intel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit intel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Intel. Live more. Forget last season. Forget the winners and the losers. Forget every moment that stole the show. Because this is a brand new season on Go TV. And it's going to be bigger and better than any season before it. With over 7 leagues and top competitions, plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seats in the house this new football season. Get a decoder, Go Tenor, plus 1 month Go TV Max for 6,900 Naira only. Bigger season, greater football. Go TV. Love it.
Welcome back to the news on NTA International. Nigerian military has been commended for its immeasurable sacrifice in defending the nation's territorial integrity, which culminated into the relative peace being enjoyed in the northeast region. Yobe State Governor Mai Mala Buni gave the commendation while flagging off distribution of empowerment tools to more than 1,000 youth in Yobe East Senatorial District. Yunusa Suleiman reports.
Governor Mai Mala Buni says the spirit of the nation's security forces to deal with numerous internal threats, especially Boko Haram insurgency, was rekindled due to President Muhammadu Buhari's political will through motivation and re-equipping the armed forces with necessary combat hardwares. He explains that the distribution of the empowerment tools to 1,067 youth by Senator representing Yobe East Ibrahim Gaidam wouldn't have been possible if not for the relative peace the state is currently enjoying, courtesy of the sacrifices made by members of the armed forces. Prior to 2015, people in the state were subjected to security checks in mosques, churches, markets, among other public places. But this has become a history. Senator Ibrahim Gaidam represented says the initiative is to complement the efforts of government in the state in its drive to lift hundreds of youth out of poverty in the post-insurgency era. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Now to security, the operational capacity of the police has been enhanced with the presentation of about 22,000 bulletproof vests, ballistic helmets and first aid kits by the Ministry of Police Affairs. Minister of Police Affairs Muhammad Maigari Dingyadi says the gesture is part of federal government's commitments to address internal security challenges in the country. Francis Form reports.
This symbolic presentation to the Nigeria Police Force is a demonstration by the federal government to equip police in confronting security emergencies. Police Affairs Minister is confident this will boost the morale and fighting of the personnel.
I'm convinced that the Inspector General of Police and his management team will commit officers and the Mayor of the Nigerian Police to reciprocate government's efforts through judicious and effective use of this equipment for protection of lives and properties.
The tools to work are as important as the manpower. You may have the manpower, you may not have the tools to work. And if you don't have the tools, you won't be able to move better. But with this, I think our officers will operate with confidence that they have something that can be used in giving them protection while in their operations.
The recent successes recorded by the Nigeria Police in its offensive operations against criminals and dislodgement from their hideouts necessitated the need to equip police personnel with protective gadgets in line with international best standard practices. Francis from NTA News.
Now, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, says it has temporarily suspended the shutdown of the indebted broadcast stations all over the country. Director General Balarabe Shehu Ilela, in a statement, said the commission took the decision after a follow-up meeting with executives of the broadcasting organizations of Nigeria and other critical stakeholders in the industry. He noted that most of the affected media houses have also shown positive responses, especially Dar Communications Limited and Silverbird. The National Broadcasting Commission had on August 19, 2022, issued a shutdown notice to licensees that are indebted to the commission. Now, honest and transparent leaders are what the All Progressives Congress is looking for in its efforts to entrench and sustain democracy in Nigeria. National Chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Adamu, re-emphasized this while receiving a report from the Chairman Media Committee of APC's presidential primary, Governor Abdullahi Suli of Nasarawa State, as the party's national secretariat.
Convention committees that is publicly making its reports available before the leadership of the party. Although details of the report was not made known to the media, APC national chairman, however, acknowledged that 20 million naira check was returned to the party as unspent amount out of the 120 million naira given to the committee.
This is the character we're looking for in our leaders. Honesty, transparency, and doing what you are asked to do and giving account of what you've done. We appreciate you for this.
The media then asked the governor how he was able to achieve so much with little resources.
We get the support of the media houses and all of you, in the media. That's one of the best support that we receive. We didn't receive the same kind of support when I was the chairman of the other committee last year that produced the the members of the National Working Committee. But this time around, I think we were able to receive maximum support from the media.
The APC leadership promised a strong bond between the party and its members who distinguished themselves in party activities. In Abuja, Saliu Gonara, NTA News.
Still on party matters, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, has described as false the rumor making the rounds of an internal crisis rocking the party. National Chairman of the APC, Ralph Ngusu, notes that the party is united and focused to face the task ahead. He stated this in Abuja shortly after the party's National Executive Council meeting.
I've resolved that because of the election coming and because of the friction we had after our last national presidential primary, we cannot afford to hold another a convention for the interest of the party.
Meanwhile, the tenure of the national officers of the party has been elongated for an additional year to keep the party for a hitch-free campaign process and other administration matters ahead of the 2023 elections. Now, the National Orientation Agency has begun moves aimed at deploying measures to effectively manage the flood for the benefit of not only the agrarian communities in the Federal Capital Territory, but other residents. Rosemary Molteleng-Bilal reports that to this end, relevant stakeholders are in Dogongada village of Lokogoma to brainstorm on the emergency response plan to effectively manage flood using multi-sectoral expertise.
Visit by the management of the FCT National Orientation Agency to Dogongada community is for an integral flood management approach where flooding is effectively managed using multi-sectoral expertise, enhanced flood waters for beneficial purposes.
We have risen to the challenge of flooding again to sensitize people on the dangers, of course, which are supposed to be known, but humans being who we are. And so we are here again to say, hey, let's all take caution, let's all be careful, let's all do the needful, let's all avoid blocking the drainages, let's all keep away from waterways.
Stakeholders involved and the community appeal to relevant authorities for assistance.
In this community, we have a diverse, so that if rain falls and the help when FCT management help us, then put barrier for us in that river so that anytime when flood come, we should lock it until the flood go before our community people pass.
The objective of this technical review is to enable all relevant stakeholders, especially at the state and community levels, make input into the draft documents for planning purposes. Rosemary Molteleng-Bilal, NTA News.
We now join our sports desk for an update from the world of sports.
Three-time African champions, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, maintained the same position in the latest monthly ranking released by FIFA on Thursday. The Super Eagles, who were not in action in August, remain 31st in the world and 4th in Africa.
I urge the NFF to get more quality grade A friendly matches and for the Super Eagles to keep them together. At least that alone will help our ranking.
The national team is filled with very, very good players. And with the new coach, Pesero, let's hope he does the needful.
Senegal occupy the top spot on the continent, followed by Morocco and Tunisia. The Super Eagles will be in action on September 27 when they take on the Desert Foxes of Algeria in a friendly in Oran. Still on football, there are mouth-watering fixtures in Week 4 of the English Premier League this weekend. Southampton welcomed Manchester United in the early game on Saturday, while Everton visited Brentford. The fixture between Chelsea and Leicester City at the Stamford Bridge will be live on the NTA at 2:30 p.m. On Sunday, Aston Villa file out against West Ham United, while the Nottingham Forest-Tottenham clash wraps up Week 4. Meanwhile, the victorious Team Nigeria to the 2022 Africa Gymnastics Club Championship in South Africa are back to base in Abuja with a resolve to continue working hard for the nation's glory. The athletes who won 5 gold, 1 silver and 1 bronze medals in South Africa were part of a month-long National Gymnastics Summer Camp in Abuja, which ended on Friday.
Because the World Championship is around the corner, we pray the Federation gives us the opportunity to do that, because we've been able to produce athletes that are represented all over the world and also at the Olympic. Now we have gymnasts that have won at the National Sport Festival.
Over 100 budding gymnastics talents took part in the camp. That sports update.